Okay, I'm very excited to welcome Laura Chung, author of How to Manifest and host of the Awaken and Align podcast.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello. I'm so happy to have you here. I learned about Laura Chung on the internet. Every so often I'm like, okay, Mark, I guess you guys knew what you were doing because I feel like post October 7th, those of us who actually have humanity still at the helm, we're kind of like siloed into each other, right? Like, oh, this person also cares about humans. You should see them. And so you were one of those people. And so it is great. And I told the people that you gave me the most accurate reading that I've ever received. And this wasn't even like me sitting in front of her.
Yeah. I'm so humbled because, again, I don't really know that much about your personal life. So I really had to lean into my astrological abilities to give you that little mini reading. But I'm glad that it resonated.
It did. It did. So can you give us like some insight into how you even got into astrology? Like what made you fall in love with the stars?
I've always been a lover of the stars. I grew up in just a little outside of New York City. And as a kid, I would always look up at the sky. I knew exactly where Jupiter was. I knew exactly the phases of the moon. And I have to say, like, my introduction to astrology was through Vedic and Chinese astrology, and they are way harsher in those systems. And so it wasn't until like the early 2010s when I would read Susan Miller's blog. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but every month she would drop her monthly astrology, and me and my girlfriends would always be like, oh my God. And we would commiserate on our horoscopes. But honestly, I didn't get serious about studying it until 2020, the pandemic. And my life just kind of fell apart again. And I think that's why people get into astrology, is when their life kind of crumbles and you try to find a reason for it, like a meaning towards the collapse. And I started studying with teachers, and like everything that was happening at my life at the time was explained by the astrological transits and how they were aspecting my personal chart. So that's how I started really taking it seriously.
Well, I will tell you guys, when Laura was giving me my reading, she would be like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like around October 2023, like you started having like financial changes. Like it would be such things that were so very specific. And the whole time you were reading, I was like, yeah. And then at one point you were like, this is literally just telling you that like if you felt like things have been really screwed up, like you're not crazy, like there is a real, like the transits really were doing this. And anybody who has been, particularly like the SEAL squad, people who have been following me this last year, 2024, tried to take me out, Lord. They tried to take me out.
I see it. And honestly, that's also why I love astrology, because it helps validate people when they're otherwise gaslit by their experiences. And it just also shows that transits are not forever. And so this cycle of your life was difficult for a reason. And so I wanted to, that's why I said, I'm going to tell you the hard parts right now, but I want you to be excited for what's to come next year.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Now, here we are in 2025. And I know that you do this in like a full, like formal way, and people can hear the full formal version, but I would love for you to just give us some tidbits on what we as the people of the world, because we got people watching from all over the world, what we as the people of the world can expect. due to the transits? What is possible, I guess I should say.
Okay. Thank you for saying it that way, because I can definitely come on here and talk about all the transits that for 2025 and beyond for us, specifically also in the United States. We're going through multiple situations here. And but what's possible is that nothing is set in stone. The future is not written yet. And so I think it's really important to understand that we have the power to change things in the way
Mhm.
that we desire. And it's really important to do that now, as things are kind of like dying and molding, and we have the power
Mm.
to shape it in the way that we want to see the future. And so, you know, I want to empower everybody to do the work internally, because that's really where it starts. I say, like, the revolution starts from within, understanding where you are oppressed and how you are also the oppressor. So,
That last part,
yeah,
because people really are running from that.
it's actually the most difficult part, because you have to take accountability of how you might have caused harm to others, and that takes a lot of self-awareness. So,
I mean, and sometimes it's not even like you have a choice. Like
mhm,
me being an American in the United States, I
mhm,
am a colonizer,
totally.
whether I like it or not.
Yes.
And someone the other day when I said that was like, "Well, no, that's them doing that." And I'm like, "No, no, my passport says United States of
Mhm,
America. I am complicit." Like, I am paying taxes. I am still,
mhm.
and I was like, I liken it to like there are white people who are down for the people, but they still white.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like what you were saying, our tax dollars are funding multiple genocides around the world, and so there is a responsibility that comes with that. And to say that you're not political,
I
water's
know.
political. So, I don't know what to tell you.
Water's political is real. So what do we feel like um the United States is headed towards astrologically?
So right now we're going through a Pluto return, and so Pluto is the planet of transformation. And if you think about transformation, it entails death. And so the United States is in its death rattle, and we can see it like all around us if you are paying attention. And the United States has a symbolic birth chart. It's called the Sibley chart. You can look it up. And it's based on the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which is July 4th, 1776. This is when the settlers wanted their independence from the British Empire, because at that time they were raising taxes because of the very costly French and Indian War that they waged before then. And so embedded in the USA's chart is freedom from an oppressive monarchy and also taxes. So I don't think it's a coincidence that now in our Pluto return, and a return just means when a planet returns to its original place of birth. You celebrate your solar return every birthday. The United States and a lot of its citizens are aware of the fact that our tax dollars, again, taxation without representation, are funding genocide, essentially.
Yes.
And so, the themes of revolution coming back are not unprecedented when we are going through a Pluto return. And this year, Uranus, the planet of revolution, rebellion, awakening, will move into the sign of Gemini, which is also a return. Uranus will return back to its position of the United States birth. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. Um, and another there's multiple outer planets, and outer planets are collective planets moving signs this year. And so on March 30th, Neptune, the planet about our ideals and our beliefs, but also our delusions, is moving into the sign of Aries. And a lot of astrologers point to this as being significant because the Civil War began on April 12th. I want to get this date right, 1861. And the very next day, Neptune moved into the sign of Aries. And during the American Civil War, Uranus was going through its second return. So, like, if you track the cycles of these
Mhm.
moving into these signs, it speaks about revolution. It speaks about times of just unrest. And yeah, so I'm not saying that those things are exactly going to happen, but just given the climate right now,
Yes.
it's and so you want to use prediction as a way to mitigate some of the um,
Mm.
harshness of what's to come. And that's really how they also used astrology back in ancient times. Even in Indian and Chinese astrology, use feng shui to mitigate some of the bad fortune. So I don't want to say this to fearmonger at all,
Yeah.
to prepare us for what's to come.
You had said something on your Instagram where you were like, revolution doesn't necessarily just mean for the good guys.
Yes.
Um, so can you speak to that a little bit?
So these planets and signs, um, based on the context, they play out. So the so what you're referring to was when I did that Pluto and Aquarius video where it was the age of revolution. And during that time, it was the American Revolution, and then the French Revolution, and then the Haitian Revolution, and the Irish Rebellion. And all of these revolutions are important in the context of that time. But most people only talk about the American and French Revolution. But it was because of the American Revolution, because France was involved in helping the settlers, that then they became really in debt when they were already in debt. And
Mhm.
so that kind of also prompted the French Revolution. And it was because of the French Revolution that sparked the Haitian Revolution, because their fellow Frenchmen are talking about equality for everybody, and they're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Because at that time, Haiti, which was Saint Domingue, was a French colony. And then, the Irish being like, wait a minute, we deserve to be free from the British Empire as well. So it's not just a one-sided thing, but people really have to take into context like that these planets in signs isn't just one side.
Mm. And
And
because
also,
I go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was just gonna just say that during the Pluto and Aquarius time was when the Bill of Rights was ratified, the 12 amendments to the Constitution, and one of them being the freedom of speech. And so again, we're in Pluto Aquarius now for 20 years. I really do believe the Bill of Rights in some way is going to change during this Pluto and Aquarius.
Mm.
We
I
see it
mean,
already with the TikTok ban.
I was gonna say my concern is that it's gonna change for the worst. I mean, that's to me what's gonna happen is that they're planning on really just rescinding rights that were given and taking it back. They keep saying "Make America Great Again." And they know exactly what they mean by that.
Oh, yes.
They know exactly what they mean by that. Well, do you have any suggestions for folks on, because you talk a lot about just like mental health and self-care, like how they
Mhm.
can mitigate their own anxieties with this, you know, star-driven information?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say self-care because it's been, bastardized, but, like,
Yeah.
I've read Audre Lorde's definition of self-care, so
Yes.
it really is important to find your grounding in whatever shape or form it is, because the news is just gonna get more chaotic. It's just gonna get more and more chaotic as we get into the age of air and fire.
Mhm.
And it's really important for you to have discernment on what you watch and where you're getting your news and information. And I mean, that's why they're doing the TikTok ban. And just to get to a place where you trust your gut and intuition, honestly. And spiritual practices, I was saying to Amanda yesterday that so much of what's happening, we have to also trust we can't see. Like there's a thread that's weaving all of us together. And I mean, Amanda and I met each other on Instagram. So there is some magical thread that's trying to help us if we take the time to sit and listen. You can call that ancestors, universe, God, goddess, whoever you pray to, but also to cultivate that practice.
I feel like that's something that a lot of people are stepping into, like myself included, like in the last 2 years. Like you eventually just like, well, you know what? I need something to get through this. God dang it.
Mhm.
Because this isn't going to just be enough for me to ride on myself and some nebulous idea of what I think spirituality is. So somebody in here was like, I know you don't believe this bullshit. This is how I look at astrology. The truth of the matter is that none of us know the truth of the matter. Like
Not at
we're,
all.
we're all here just trying to figure it out. Some of us aren't even trying to do our best. Actually, some of us
Mhm.
aren't trying to figure it out. Some of us are trying to literally just drain everything we can from this place while we're here. And so I look at astrology the same way I look at spirituality, the same way I look at really just curiosity, which is a support system for trying to understand this human experience. And
100%.
I'll take any support systems that make sense. And I'm sorry, y'all. I am a Cancer to the hilt. I am a Cancer, Virgo. When you were describing Cancer, Virgo, I was
Yeah.
like, yep,
Yes.
to the hilt. So zodiac and all that may not apply for some people. They may not feel like it applies to them. But as somebody who is super duper self-aware,
Mhm.
it applies to me.
Mhm.
1 billion
You
percent.
you are living your chart, like, to the T, for sure.
Yay! Applause. Well, Laura, please tell the people where they can get more from your astrological mind and where they can check out any other work that you want them to know about.
Thank you so much, and it's such a pleasure to speak with you. You can find me on the Instagram. I am Laura Chung, and because I had to remember which one got banned or not. My website, laurakchung.com, my podcast, Awaken and Align.
LauraKChung.com. And can you tell us a little bit about the podcast?
Yeah, it's really about how to take the spiritual wisdom into your everyday life. And it's I do interview style, which will come back soon, thank you, and astrology. And I think it's like you were saying, like just be curious, like try to listen to every type of spirituality modality and see which one resonates with you.
There you have it, y'all. Just see which one resonates with you. Some of y'all are here Monday through Wednesday because Views from Amandaland resonates with you. Look, we got people that just subbed to your podcast. All right. So it's happening.
Thank
It's happening.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us and for giving us a heads up that the revolution is here. The
It's here.
revolution is coming. So everybody get ready. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Amanda.
Listen, don't act surprised. When it go down, don't act surprised, y'all. Don't act surprised when it goes down. Amanda.